Good afternoon, everybody. Why am I trying to build a direct-to-consumer beef business? Well, I think that it is probably one of the most profitable ways a small rancher can make a living. You know, if you think about small businesses, a lot of times they have to pick a niche, or they have to really hammer down on customer service, brand loyalty, things like that. Well, how do you do that as a small rancher? Well, the only way you can really do that is by doing a direct-to-consumer beef business. I mean, if you're just taking your cows to the sale barn, yeah, maybe your neighbor, buys them because they know you, they trust you, and, maybe they're loyal to buying your calves type of thing. But is that really the end product? No. They're ultimately the ones who have to sell that, and probably going to end up going to the packer, and that's going to end up just, becoming their product, not yours. And you have no real competitive advantage when you're selling to a packer, because why? I mean, there's only a few big packers, and you pretty much have to sell at whatever price the market is that day. Whereas if you're doing a direct-to-consumer beef, you sort of get to control your prices a little bit. I mean, you still have to do the marketing, and get the product sold. But at the end of the day, you're sort of putting in that extra work and have a little bit more of a competitive advantage. I think that extra work is really why people shy away from direct-to-consumer, because it is a lot more than what people think. There's a lot of extra logistics that go into it. There's a lot of extra work. You have to deal with the consumer, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but people have different demands. Some people are harder to deal with than others, and that ultimately makes it harder than just taking your calves to the sale barn. It makes it harder than just calling the packer. It makes it harder than working with a third-party industry or company just to, sell your calves with. It is harder to do direct-to-consumer, but that is why it is more profitable. If you think about anything, usually the harder it is to do, the bigger the payout in the end. And so that's why I believe that this is the route that a lot of the small ranchers and small farmers need to do, is find a way to get your product direct to consumer. Putting in that extra work is going to allow you to make more per calf. It's going to allow you to build a brand around your family's legacy, and is going to help you ultimately be more profitable with less cattle. And do you have to switch over your entire operation if you're used to selling calves to the sale barn? Absolutely not. I'm starting with 3 head. I'm here to document the entire story. Everything that I'm doing, I'm sharing, and I want to prove that small ranches can be profitable, family ranches can be profitable. And that's ultimately why I make these videos. It's ultimately why I change the direction of my channel. And there's a lot more that goes into it. And if you're interested in building out a business plan for your ranch, if you're interested in, help with direct-to-consumer, or even just learning LRP, if you want to go that route, or hedging with futures and options, I have the background as a commodity broker, as an ag lender, and I can see the financial side. I'm used to working on the financial side of things with operations, and I want to prove that you can live off your ranch. I want to prove that it's possible. I'm going to prove that it's possible. And if you believe in that, if you want to watch the whole journey, go ahead and give this thing a sub. Just because it's hard does not mean that it's not worth doing. Just because there's things that you have to figure out, just because some people think you're crazy, just because your dad or your grandpa hasn't done it this way ever, doesn't mean that it's not possible. I think it's direction the industry is headed, and we can't compete with the margins of packers. We can't compete with the margins of the Walmarts, the Hy-Vees. We can't sell at break even and then hope that we make money on the intestines. I saw a video about that the other day. They're selling intestines across seas, and that's where they're making their money. I don't know if that's true, but even if it is, we can't compete with that. You, as a rancher or family feeder, need to understand that the industry is changing. and policies are changing. And the way policies are now, it is directed at selling goods within country. So you need to start to find out exactly how this works. And you don't, again, have to do it with your entire operation. Start small, 3 steers. If you want to watch my journey, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys following my journey. And as always, if you want help with your operation, it doesn't have to be direct to consumer. It can just be helping you develop a business plan. It could be helping with LRP, futures and options. You know, I host classes in the Agri Summit group. I'm here to help you. You know, I have the background as a commodity broker, as an ag lender, and I grew up on a ranch, and I'm still on a ranch. There's not many people in the financial space that actually have the background, and I want to help you. I want to help the industry. I want to prove that family operations can still be profitable.